Today we are going to look at special lines on grids that are horizontal and vertical. So these lines will be parallel to the x and y axes, and we want to know how to name them using their equations. Okay, so looking at this example, the equation of this line that I want to draw is y equals 5. So you can see it's a bit different to the equations we were working with yesterday. There's no x's involved, it's just y equals 5. Okay, so that's telling me that the y coordinate of every point on this line must be 5. So it doesn't actually matter what the x coordinate is, the y coordinate will always be 5. So if I'm trying to work out some coordinates to lie on this line, let's say I've got these coordinates down here with different x values. Doesn't matter what the x coordinate is, the y coordinate, let's get my pen working, must be 5. There we are. So I'm just going to fill in that the y coordinate is 5. So I don't care what the x value is, it can be anything I like. I could have an x value of 372, the y value, the y coordinate would still be 5. So if we plot those points, let's see what our graph is going to look like. So 0, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 4, 5, and 6, 5. And again, when I draw in my line, again you're going to use a ruler and a pencil. I'm going to draw the line, extend it beyond the first and the last point, right across the grid, and that's the line y equals 5. And for every point on that line, the y coordinate is 5, and importantly, it goes through 5 on the y-axis. So this gives us a horizontal line, which is parallel to the x-axis. So on the same line, draw and label the line y equals 1. So this means that every single y coordinate must be 1. So if I just made up some coordinates, I can just pick some x coordinates. Let's just say I've got 2, 1, 3, 1, and 5, 1. Doesn't matter what x coordinates I choose, as long as the y coordinate is 1. So let's plot those. I've got 2, 1. I've got 3, 1, and I've got 5, 1. So we can see there, let's get a straight line, that line is again horizontal, okay, but this time all the y coordinates are 1, and so this is the line y equals 1. Right, let's have a look at a few more of these then. So I've got 4 lines to plot here. X equals 7, x equals 3, y equals 4, and y equals minus 2. Okay, so let's start with the y equals lines because that's what we've just been doing over the page. So the line y equals 4, again, it doesn't matter what my x values are, the y coordinate must be 4. I don't know why my pen does not seem to want to turn green. Let's see if we can make it turn green. Oh, there we are, green. So y is 4 for all of my coordinates. So let's plot those. 0, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4, and 4, 4. And if we draw in the line, again, we want to extend it all the way across the grid. And as expected, like the last lines that we drew on the previous page, we have a horizontal line. That's called y equals 4, and it goes through 4 on the y-axis. So if we're going to plot the line y equals minus 2, why don't you just have a think, see if you can imagine or predict where that line's going to go. So all the y coordinates need to be minus 2, so let's put those in, and then let's plot them. 0 minus 2, 1 minus 2, 2 minus 2, 3 minus 2, 4 minus 2. Drawing in our line. Did you get it right? We have a horizontal line, y equals minus 2, let's label it, and it goes through minus 2 on the y-axis. Right, let's see what happens then when we do these x equals lines. Okay, so let's start with x equals 7. So this is telling me the y coordinate can change and it can be anything I like, but this time the x coordinate has got to be the same and it's got to equal 7. So if we plot these points, I've got 7, 0, 7, 1, 7, 2, 7, 3, and 7, 4. And again, when I draw that line, it must stretch all the way across the grid, extending beyond the first and the last point, and that's the line. Let's label it x equals 7. So we can see now that a line that's x equal to a number is actually a vertical line, which makes it parallel to the y-axis, and it goes through 7 on the x-axis. So have a prediction then. Where do you think the line x equals 3 will go? Think about where you think it will go, and we'll draw it and see if you're right. So again, x equals 3. All the x coordinates must be 3. The y coordinates can change and be anything we like. Plotting, we get 3, 0, 3, 1, 3, 2, and 3, 4. So joining up those points and extending the line, I get my vertical line there again. And let's see if we can use a blue pen to label it with x equals 3. Again, it's a vertical line and it goes through 3 on the x-axis. Okay, so let's just summarise this, and I'd like you to write this down in your books. So write down in your books, an equation in the form y equals a number always gives a horizontal line. Okay, and we could then say an equation in the form x equals a number always gives a vertical line. And it's really important that we remember y equals gives a horizontal line and x equals gives a vertical line. Okay, because sometimes we get muddled with this because y, the y-axis, is vertical, isn't it? But y equals a number gives a horizontal line. Okay, so let's just draw a little picture in our books to go with that, just to make sure that we're happy. So let's just label in your books and get the pen back. So we've got the y-axis and the x-axis. Okay, so y equals a number always gives a horizontal line. So let's draw an example there. So if I've got a horizontal line, that would be y equals a number. Okay, so that might be the line, for example, y equals 5, and that would go through 5 on the y-axis. Okay, but an equation in the form x equals a number always gives a vertical line. Okay, so if I draw a vertical line, there we go. In fact, I'm going to turn that one green. Let's make that a green line. So that line there, a vertical line, will always be x equals a number. Let's say, for example, that could be x equals 3, and that would go through 3 on the x-axis. So if you're drawing these in your book, you could actually draw these through 3 on the x-axis using your squares and 5 on the y-axis using your squares. Right, let's see if you can have a go at thinking about what the equations of each of these lines are. So first of all, think about whether they're horizontal or vertical, and then think about what the equation is. So look at line A. Think, is that vertical or horizontal? Well, that's obviously vertical. Okay. The x coordinate is always 5 on this line. It goes through 5 on the x-axis. And it's got the equation x equals 5. Now let's have a look at line B. You think about, is that vertical or horizontal? What do you think its equation is? So line B is vertical. The x coordinate is always 3. No, it's not, because B goes through -2, so let's change that. The x coordinate is always minus 2. So the equation there is x equals minus 2. Have a think about line C. Is it vertical or horizontal? What's the equation? Yep, it's vertical again, and the x-coordinate is always minus 7. Goes through minus 7 on the x-axis, so the equation is x equals minus 7. So vertical lines always start x equals the number. Let's have a look at line D. So is it horizontal or is it vertical? Line D, think about that. It's horizontal. In fact, I'm just going to put a new screen on here so I can get rid of this box. So line D is horizontal. The y coordinate is always 7 because it goes through 7 on the y-axis, so y equals 7. Line E, can you think about what the equation for line E is? It's horizontal again. The y coordinate is always 3, so it's got the equation y equals 3. You try line F. What do you think the equation of line F is? F is horizontal. The y coordinate is always minus 4. Therefore, it has an equation of y equals minus 4. Right, it's your turn now. I want you to go to the horizontal and vertical lines worksheet, and I want everyone to start on question 1 and work through the levels of challenge.